I'm Raymond Floyd, and this is my U.S. Open. I'd never seen the golf course before. It's my first time to Shinnecock, and it was just magical. I fell in love with the golf course.
How good was Raymond Floyd? When the legends of golf were asked about him, something strange happened. They didn't talk about his 22 PGA Tour wins or his 4 major championships. They talked about his eyes. They talked about the stare. A look so cold, so intense, that grown men who had beaten the best in the world felt like they were suddenly playing for second place. If you love these old school golf stories, tap the hype feature and give this video some hype. It really helps us out. Now, check this out. Raymond Floyd was a bridge between eras. He partied with Arnold Palmer in the 60s, dismantled Jack Nicklaus records in the 70s, outlasted the young guns in the 80s, and dominated the senior tour in the 90s. But to understand why the greatest players in history respected him so deeply, you have to hear what they actually said. And we're going to let 7 legends tell you exactly what made Floyd so terrifying. Number 7. Jack Nicklaus, the Golden Bear himself. Jack Nicklaus does not hand out compliments. He is the measuring stick for every golfer who ever lived. 18 major championships, 6 green jackets, the ultimate winner. So when Nicklaus calls someone one of his most consistent and dangerous rivals, you listen. And that's exactly what he said about Raymond Floyd. But here's what makes it even more powerful. Nicklaus didn't just respect Floyd's wins. He called Floyd's 1976 Masters performance one of the most flawless displays of golf he ever witnessed. Think about that. Nicklaus had seen every great player. He had played against them all, and he chose Floyd's 76 Masters as one of the best. Floyd opened with a 65 and a 66, 13 under par after 36 holes. That record stood for almost 40 years. He led wire to wire and won by 8 shots, and he tied Nicklaus's own scoring record of 271, 17 under par at Augusta National. Nicklaus knew what it took to do that. He set that record himself back in '65. He understood the pressure of leading a major championship for 4 straight days. The hole looks smaller. The hazards look bigger. Every putt feels like it weighs 1,000 pounds. But Floyd never cracked. And here's the kicker. Nicklaus said Floyd was one of the few players who wasn't intimidated by him. In the 70s, there was something called the Nicklaus factor. Most guys lost by 3 shots before they even teed off because they were scared of Jack. They played for second place. Not Floyd. Floyd had his own weapon. The stare. He looked through opponents like they weren't even there. He believed he could beat anybody, including the Golden Bear, and that made him dangerous. They battled for over 30 years. In '76, Floyd tied Jack's Masters record while Nicklaus finished 3rd. In '78 at the British Open, Floyd chased Nicklaus all the way to the end at St. Andrews. And in 1986, they both proved the old guys could still win. Nicklaus took the Masters at 46. Floyd won the U.S. Open at 43. Nicklaus saw a player whose game traveled. It worked at Augusta, where you needed precision and putting. It worked at the U.S. Open, where you needed grit and the ability to grind through thick rough. It worked at the PGA Championship, where scoring was king. Floyd could do it all, and Nicklaus respected that more than anything. Number 6. Tiger Woods, the next generation. Raymond Floyd did something almost nobody else did. He predicted that Tiger Woods would be better than Jack Nicklaus, and he said it in the mid-90s when Tiger was still an amateur. This was insane. Nicklaus was a god, the undisputed greatest of all time. For Floyd, a guy who had battled Nicklaus for decades, to say this kid would surpass him was shocking. But Floyd saw something. He saw the mind and the power combined in a way that had never existed before. Tiger has always said that Raymond Floyd was one of the first guys to really take him under his wing. Floyd taught him a lesson that changed everything. Power is great, but the short game is where you break their hearts. Tiger took that to heart. Everyone saw his bombs off the tee, but his opponents knew the truth. It was his chipping and putting that destroyed them. The ability to save par from anywhere, that crushed their will. And that was pure Raymond Floyd philosophy. Floyd played practice rounds with Tiger at Augusta National in '96 and '97. He showed him where to miss the ball, how to read the grain on the greens, how to handle the pressure when the world is watching. Tiger's '97 Masters win was a 12-shot blowout, just like Floyd's '76 win. Both were total domination. Both were built on superior strategy and refusing to let up. It's not a coincidence that Tiger learned from the man who tied Nicklaus for the lowest score at Augusta. Floyd was the bridge. He played against Nicklaus in his prime. He mentored Tiger in his. And he gave Tiger credibility in the locker room before Tiger had even won a major. Floyd showed Tiger that you don't just beat opponents. You break their will. You make them feel like they're playing for second place before the back 9 even starts. Number 5. Arnold Palmer, the king. Arnold Palmer and Raymond Floyd were close friends. But at Augusta National in '76, Palmer watched Floyd do something even the king had never done. Destroy the field with absolute confidence and swagger. Palmer loved swagger. He built his career on charging, on going for broke, on playing with charisma and fearlessness. And he said Raymond had a confidence that was infectious. He walked onto the tee like he owned the place. Floyd didn't just win the 76 Masters, he humiliated everyone. 8-shot victory, wire to wire, 13 under after 2 rounds. Palmer respected that Floyd didn't protect the lead. He extended it, he attacked. That was Palmer's own philosophy, and he loved seeing it in Floyd. But here's the best part of their story. In 1965, a young, cocky Raymond Floyd finally made it to the Masters. He got paired with Arnold Palmer for a practice round. Floyd told the press he was going to show Arnold how to play Augusta. He shot in the low 80s. He missed the cut. 11 years later, he came back and tied the scoring record. He won the green jacket with the most dominant performance Augusta had ever seen. Palmer loved that. It showed growth. It showed that the swagger was eventually backed by substance. It showed that Floyd could take a punch and come back swinging. Palmer used to joke that he had a tip to take 5 strokes off anyone's game, an eraser. Forget the bad shots immediately. He saw Floyd as the ultimate scorer, someone who could turn disaster into gold, who could get the most out of his skill level even when he wasn't hitting it perfectly. Palmer called Floyd a great champion and an even better friend in the game of golf. Floyd served on the Ryder Cup committee. He got into course design. He followed Palmer's footsteps as a steward of the game's traditions. And Palmer saw him as someone who carried the torch of confident, attacking golf into the next generation. Number 4. Gary Player, the fitness legend. Gary Player preached fitness before it was cool. Diet, weightlifting, healthy living, decades before Tiger made it standard. So when Player called Raymond Floyd a marvel and a benchmark for longevity, that's the highest praise possible. Floyd won 14 times on the senior tour. Player and Floyd were the titans of that circuit in the early 90s. They battled for money titles and senior majors with the same intensity they had shown in the 60s. Player said Floyd stayed fit, stayed hungry, and never lost that burning desire to beat you. For Player, hunger was everything. Most guys lose the desire to practice once they get older and financially secure. Floyd never did. Their relationship goes back to the 1969 PGA Championship. Floyd won his first major by edging Player by 1 stroke. Player was already a career Grand Slam winner, a global legend. But Floyd, the young guy, stood up to the pressure and refused to give an inch. Player loved a quote he made famous: "The more I practice, the luckier I get." He saw that same work ethic in Floyd. Floyd wasn't doing thousands of crunches like Player, but he was grinding on the range and in the short game area every single day. What amazed Player most was Floyd's ability to win across 4 decades. The 60s with his PGA win and Rookie of the Year, the 70s with the Masters, the 80s with another PGA and the US Open, the 90s with senior tour dominance and being Ryder Cup captain. This required adaptability. Equipment changed from wood to metal, balls changed. Competition changed from Palmer and Nicklaus to Watson and Seve to Faldo and Norman. Floyd adapted to all of it. Player, who also won across decades and continents, knew how hard that was. He viewed Floyd as one of the few who truly understood that a golf career is a marathon. Number 3. Tom Watson, the champion of champions. Tom Watson has 5 British Open titles and 8 major championships. He's one of the toughest competitors in golf history. So when he talks about the 1986 US Open at Shinnecock Hills, you pay attention. Watson said what Ray did at Shinnecock in '86 was a masterclass. He showed all of us that if you have the heart and the short game, age is just a number in this sport. Floyd was 43 years old. Most golfers at that age are winding down or heading to the senior tour. But Floyd was in a dogfight with Lanny Wadkins, Chip Beck, Lee Trevino, and Greg Norman. The wind was brutal. The fescue was thick and punishing. The course was destroying the young guys. Floyd shot a final round 66. Watson finished 7th that year, so he had a front row seat. He watched Floyd survive a tough start and then take control on the back 9. Low irons piercing the wind. Clutch putts on sun-baked greens. Pure heart. Watson admired Floyd's physical discipline. Fitness wasn't standard on tour in the 80s. Gary Player was the outlier, but Floyd recommitted himself in his early 40s. Changed his diet, practiced harder, made his swing more efficient. Watson, who almost won the British Open at age 59 in 2009, looked at Floyd as a blueprint. Floyd proved that competitive fire doesn't die at 40. Winning a US Open, the hardest mental test in golf, at 43 was a testament to his toughness, and Watson's respect was confirmed decades later. In 2014, Watson was named US Ryder Cup captain. One of his first moves was to recruit Raymond Floyd as vice captain. He needed someone who commanded respect, someone who had the stare, someone who could teach toughness to the modern players. Floyd was on a hunting trip when Watson called. He thought Watson wanted to arrange a pheasant hunt in Kansas. Instead, Watson said, "I'd really like you to help me with this Ryder Cup. Be one of my assistant captains." Floyd accepted immediately. Watson wanted Floyd's heart in the team room. That says everything. Number 2. Lee Trevino, the hustler. Lee Trevino and Raymond Floyd came from the same world. They didn't grow up in country clubs. Trevino rose from the caddy yards of Texas. Floyd was the son of an Army pro at Fort Bragg. They both learned golf in environments where you played for money because you had to, and that built a mentality. The swing doesn't have to look pretty. It just has to get you paid. Trevino said Raymond Floyd has the best hands in the game. He can get up and down out of a garbage can. That's one of the most legendary quotes in golf history, and it speaks to a specific genius, the kind you can't teach on a driving range. It requires feel, understanding lie, spin, and trajectory. The garbage can wasn't just a figure of speech. Trevino watched Floyd hit balls into forests, bunkers, and deep rough, places where a double bogey seemed guaranteed, and Floyd would come out with a par. To Trevino, that was the ultimate sign of a winner. Trevino praised Floyd for being a complete player who didn't rely on power. He relied on strategy and nerve. In the 60s and 70s, Jack Nicklaus was overpowering courses with high bombs. Floyd was long enough, but he wasn't the longest. His genius was in managing mistakes. Trevino said he's a winner because he knows how to manage his mistakes better than anyone. Floyd understood that a round of golf is a series of errors. The winner isn't the guy who hits perfect shots, it's the guy who minimizes the damage from the bad ones. There were famous matches on Shell's Wonderful World of Golf and later on the Senior Tour where Floyd would slash a ball out of a hazard, run it up a hill, and drain a putt. Trevino would just shake his head and laugh. He respected the audacity. Their rivalry extended into their 50s. In the early 90s on the Senior Tour, Trevino and Floyd were the last two standing on Sunday afternoons. Trevino joked that he had to play his absolute best to beat Ray, even if Ray was playing from the trees. Trevino's praise highlights something important. Before the wedge specialists like Sev Ballesteros and Phil Mickelson, Raymond Floyd was the standard for touch around the greens. He could hit the low spinner or the high soft flop. And Trevino, one of the best ball strikers ever, was basically saying that ball striking is secondary to scoring. That philosophy got passed to Tiger Woods and created a lineage of players who could save par from anywhere. Number 1, Lanny Wadkins, the fighter. Lanny Wadkins was one of the fiercest competitors in Ryder Cup history, a guy who never backed down from anyone. And he said Ray Floyd was the most intense competitor he ever played against. When he got that look in his eyes, the stare, you knew you were playing for second place. The stare wasn't just a facial expression, it was a shutting down of the outside world, a trance where Floyd looked through opponents instead of at them. Wadkins thrived on chatter and bravado. He recognized that Floyd's silence was a weapon. In the 70s and 80s, there were ball strikers who had beautiful swings. There were scorers who managed their way around. But there was a separate category for fighters. Wadkins and Floyd were the kings of that group. Wadkins noted that most players crumble under pressure. They play defensively to protect a lead. Floyd became more dangerous. He attacked. The proof came at the 1982 PGA Championship at Southern Hills. Floyd opened with a 63 in brutal heat. 9 threes in a row on his scorecard starting at the 6th hole. It wasn't just a low score, it was a statement of intent. Floyd led wire to wire. Wadkins chased him all week and finished second, 3 shots back. Wadkins later said that chasing Floyd was different from chasing anyone else. With other guys, you expect a stumble, a bogey on a tough hole, a 3-putt under Sunday pressure. With Floyd, especially at Southern Hills, Wadkins knew early that Floyd was in the zone. The stare was in full effect. Wadkins and Floyd shared the team room in 5 Ryder Cups. In '93, Floyd was captain and Wadkins was a player. Their bond was forged in the fire of international competition. Wadkins said Floyd never backed down from a fight. In the Ryder Cup, that meant handling the intense pressure of singles matches. Wadkins remembered team room stories where Floyd's intensity would fire up the younger players. Some captains led with speeches. Floyd led with an aura of expectation. He expected you to crush your opponent. What Wadkins admired most was that Floyd was a closer. When it got tight, Floyd got better. That's a rare trait. Most guys with talent don't have that temperament. Wadkins played against Nicklaus, Watson, and Trevino. All had more raw talent or prettier swings than Floyd. But Wadkins isolated Floyd as the most intense. For Wadkins, the most fearsome opponent wasn't the guy who hit it the farthest. It was the guy who couldn't be rattled. Floyd's stoicism created a feedback loop. Opponents saw the stare. They pressed harder, took unnecessary risks, made mistakes, and beat themselves. Wadkins, a combative player himself, recognized this dominance. He didn't just respect Floyd, he studied him. The Tough Guy Club on tour was small, and Raymond Floyd was its chairman. So here's what we're left with. 2 performances that stand above everything else. Maybe the world underrates Raymond Floyd, but the guys who actually played against him don't. They remember the stare. They remember the hands that could save par from a garbage can. They remember the heart that refused to quit. They remember the hunger that lasted 4 decades. They remember the swagger that owned Augusta. They remember the mind that broke opponents. And they remember the flawless golf that even Jack Nicklaus had to tip his cap to. Raymond Floyd was the guy you didn't want to see on the leaderboard, because when his eyes went cold and the stare locked in, you weren't playing for first place anymore. You were just hoping to finish second. If you enjoyed this deep dive into old school golf, hit that like button, subscribe for more stories like this, and drop a comment telling us which golf legend you want us to cover next. Thanks for watching.